Okay, we're here for our second day all about fractions. So we're on chapter 16 today, fractions, lessons 2 and 3. Your page numbers are 311 to page 314. And today is May 20th, 2020. So, here is our first page of chapter or lesson 2, page 311. We're going to be talking a lot about unit fractions today. So a unit fraction is something that names one part of a whole. So if I had a square that I had divided up into fourths, so that meant we talked first yesterday about splitting something into halves. There's one half, there's the second half. And then I split it again the opposite direction. Now I've split this shape into fourths because there is one shape, but it's divided into 4 equal parts. And then I'm just going to look at this shaded area. And I'm not going to look at the other parts, just that one part. And I would write it like this: 1/4. And the way that you would write that as a word would be 1/4. That is a unit fraction because it's just one part of this shape that's divided up into 4 sections. So we're going to give you some examples of some other unit fractions. Right here we have 1/2. So you'll notice that this shape has been split into 2 sections. This is 1/2 and this is 1/2. So whenever that top part, and if you remember from yesterday, the top part is called the numerator. Numerator. Remember, it starts with an N. Numerator. We used the way to remember was our little compass star. We know never eat shredded wheat. And it always starts with an N because N for north on the top, right? So N for numerator. This down here is called denominator because that one's down under. Those two vocabulary words, numerator and denominator, they're going to be talking about that a lot more in 3rd grade. That's not really a requirement for 2nd grade. We just want you to get those concepts or ideas planted right now so that when they talk about it in 3rd grade, you'll have some idea of what they're talking about. So, but for right now, all you need to know is that this is the number of equal parts, and this is the number that we're talking about. We're talking about 1 out of the 4 equal parts. And the way that we say that fraction is 1/4. This one is 1/3. And if you notice, this is split up into 3 equal parts. 1, 2, 3. So each one of those equal parts is a unit fraction. Each one is 1/3. This is another example of the one that I've drawn for you. 1/4, 1/4, 1/4, 1/4. Now they're going to ask you to write some unit fractions. It says write the fraction for the shaded part. And it says think. You know how I love that word, think. There are 3 equal parts. Each part is 1/3. So this is 1/3, this is 1/3, this is 1/3. But they want us to write down the fraction for the shaded part. And they've actually done it for us. But I'm just going to make it a little bit darker, 1/3, because it's 1 out of the 3 equal parts that are there on that shape. Now, even though number 2 is still a square, but it's been turned so it looks like a diamond, there's still 4 equal parts, and they've shaded one of them. So the answer is still going to be 1/4. Right here, instead of having a square, we have a circle. And the circle still is divided into 4 equal parts, and one of them is shaded in yellow. So my unit fraction is still going to be 1/4. And you notice how I'm writing my own fraction line, that bar that goes in the center? Make sure you do that. Don't use that for your fraction line, please. Right here we have a heart. What a great shape. It stands for love, right? Love. And it's divided into 2 equal parts, and one of the equal parts is shaded. So I'm going to write my unit fraction 1/2. Okay, we have a pentagon. The pentagon is divided into 5 equal parts, and one of them is shaded. So the way that I'm going to write that is 1/5. Fifth is one of those ones when you write it down that you don't write 5ths. So let me show you how that looks. This one right here, see how that's 4 and then you add the th? And I told you yesterday that for most fractions that's what we do, but 5 is not like that. So what you would write is 1 and then F-I-F-T-H, fifth. So just like if you were running in a race and you came in 5th place, not bad. That's how you would write it, 5th. Right here they want us to color the fraction, and the unit fraction they're talking about is 1/8. So I'm just going to really quickly color in that very last bar, and that's all you have to do. It doesn't have to be perfect. Right here, they also have another pentagon, but they've split each one of those in half again. So that's why it's tenths. So 1 out of 10 equal parts. And it doesn't matter which one you pick. You don't have to pick the same one that I picked, because every single one of those is going to be the same unit fraction, 1/10. Okay, now you have what's called a hexagon, because it's a shape, a polygon, that's divided into 6 equal parts. So I'm going to shade in 1 out of those 6 equal parts. Once again, it doesn't matter which one you shade in. You don't have to do the one I did. Just do one of them. Okay, what does the bottom number mean in the fraction 1/8? Or 1/8, excuse me. So it's kind of the same as this one right here. And so I'm going to write down what that means. It means the whole shape, whatever it is split into 8 equal parts. Okay, now you might say that a little bit differently, and that's okay, but it needs to mean the same thing. If you have a rectangle or a square or a circle, if you have 1/8 as the unit fraction, it means whatever that shape is has been split into 8 equal parts. Down here, we have some excellent videos. One, the top one there is on unit fractions, and it's pretty cute. It has the little number 1 guy, the little animated number 1 guy who's on a planet, and he needs to redo his batteries, but only if he gets the right unit fractions. So it's kind of cute. Make sure that gets posted on our playlist. And then this one is just re-explaining fractions again, and it re-explains about how it has to be equal parts. Okay, so this is page 312. This is the back side of that page. Once again, we're still talking about unit fractions. That means fractions that have a 1 on the top, because we're just dealing with one of the equal parts. So the first one, we have a circle split into 2 equal parts. So the unit fraction would be 1/2. And then we have a square that's been split into 4 equal parts, a little bit differently this time, corner to corner. And so it's still, because there are 4 equal parts, it's still 1/4. Now on the other side of this page, we had a pentagon. A pentagon is a polygon that has 5 sides. What we're going to find here is we have a rectangle, and it's also been divided into fifths, but they're straight rectangles. So we're going to say that this is 1/5. Okay, if we remember from what we've learned about arrays, we could call this an array. It has 3 rows and 3 columns, so that makes it ninths, because we know that 3 times 3 is 9. So we're looking at 1/9. Now this one, I'm going to have to count because it looks like it's not an even number. One of the things I've told my students to do, especially if there are a lot of equal parts, is make sure when you count your equal parts, put a little dot on it. One of the easiest mistakes that good math students make is they forget where they started counting. So I'm going to start on the shaded part, and I'm going to make a dot. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. My suspicion was confirmed. It's an odd number. There are 7 slices in that pie. So then I know that the number on the bottom is going to be 7. I also know that this is a unit fraction, so I know that the number on the top is going to be 1. So on number 14, the answer is 1/7. And I'm just going to leave those dots there because that's going to remind you that when you count, especially if there's a lot and it's not an even number, go ahead and put dots because that's just a way to be careful. Okay, this one's not hard to figure out. This is one of my favorite shapes. It's called a trapezoid. You don't have to know that. 1, 2, 3. There are 3 equal parts and only 1 is shaded. So I'm going to call that 1/3. Okay, this looks like it's going to be an even number. It does look like an array, so I'm going to skip count in sets of 2. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. That looks like tenths. So I'm going to go ahead and make that 1/10. Wait a second. It says color one part. I forgot to do that. I'm going to do the bottom one down here. And that's my 1/10. Okay, well, I look at that and I'm not really sure. So I'm going to go ahead and count, but I'm going to put a dot so I know where I started. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So there are 11 slices in that pie. So I'm going to say, of course, the unit fraction is going to be 1/11. And I'm going to get rid of my dots because they want me to shade 1/11 of that pie. So there we go, 1/11. And keep in mind, it doesn't matter which one you shade. Oh my goodness, number 18, there are a lot of rectangles there. So I'm definitely going to need to count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Oh, okay, so that one That one I know is 1/12. Then I'm going to get rid of my dots. And I'm just going to shade the bottom one. And I can do that with one nice stripe. Okay? Doesn't have to be perfect. Problem solving reasoning. Draw lines and color to show the fraction. Write the fraction. Divide into 6, color 1/6. So the nice thing I know is this is going to be a unit fraction. Well, this is a rectangle. Keep in mind you don't have to do it exactly like I do it, but you do have to try to get equal parts. So what I'm going to do, because I know 2 times 3 is 6, I'm going to divide it into thirds first, and then I'm going to divide that right down the center. So now I have 6. And I'm just going to shade in 1, because it says color 1/6. And then I'm going to write my unit fraction, 1/6. Number 20, divide into fourths, color 1/4. So the easiest way to do this is do it so it looks like a birthday present. So I'm making a package with ribbon and a nice, I'm not going to put a bow on there because I'm only going to take my analogy just so far. Okay, so there's 1/4. Once again, you don't have to make yours look exactly like mine. Okay, this one is going to be easy because I already did this when I was doing the 1/6. So I'm just going to estimate thirds. It doesn't have to be 100% perfect. I wrote my unit fraction, and then I'm going to shade in 1/3. Okay? Okay, we're done with that page. We have 2 more pages to continue our lesson. So I'm going to erase, erase, erase. I hope you guys are enjoying fractions. If you take it a little bit at a time, it's really not too bad. Okay, lesson 3, more about fractions. You're on page 313. This is what it looks like right here. So earlier today, this lesson, we were talking about unit fractions. So what we're talking about now is just regular fractions. So sometimes the number on the top is not going to be a 1, but we are going to count up the unit fractions in order to figure out how many unit fractions we have in the shaded part so we know what our new fraction is. So it says fractions can name more than one equal part. So we have a square that's been divided into 4 sections. So each one of these sections is 1/4. And then it says color 3 of those. Count the colored parts and write the fraction. So basically what it's saying is 3 out of 4 parts are colored. And what our fraction really looks like is that. And we call this 3/4. And I'm going to put the S on there because it's more than 1/4. So it's plural. It's 3/4. The guided practice says, color the parts, write the fraction. So right here, it says color 2 parts. So I'm going to color 2 parts. And it says, how many colored parts? 2. How many parts all together? Keep in mind that's the bottom number. So now I'm going to write my fraction. 2/4. Now some of you may already recognize that 2/4 could also be written as 1/2, and that's correct. How many colored parts? If we color 8 out of these 8 parts. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. How many colored parts are there? 8. How many parts altogether? 8. The fraction is 8 eighths, or, which we talked about yesterday, whenever you have the same number on the top that you have on the bottom, you have 1 whole. So we could write that like this. What is the difference between the top number and the bottom number of a fraction? Well, I'm going to start with the bottom. The bottom tells how many, what's the word? Equal parts. The bottom tells how many equal parts. And I'm going to say in all. Okay, the top number actually tells you how many of those equal parts are shaded. Now, if you've written it differently, that's fine, as long as you have the same general idea. That one number, if we're talking about spatial references like this, the top number is going to be either equal to the bottom number or less than the bottom number. Because right now, we're only dealing with one item, one whole. Okay? So, the top tells how many are shaded. The bottom tells how many equal parts in all, or in the entire thing, or in the entire shape, however you want to say that. I hope you're enjoying fractions. We have one more page. Okay, so write the fraction for the shaded parts. So this first one is 1/2. And now I'm going to count. It looks like, oh, this is easy. There are 8 altogether, and only one of them isn't shaded. So I can take the number 8 and subtract 1, and I'm going to get 7. So then my fraction, I would say that 7/8. Right here, might be hard to see on here, but it's probably easy on your page. There are 5 altogether, so my bottom number is going to be 5. And 2 of them are shaded, so I'm going to put a 2. Okay, we talked about this on the other page. There's 4 altogether. 3 of them are shaded. So I'm going to say this one is called 3/4. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So it doesn't matter if the shaded parts are right next to each other or not. You still have tenths. And I have 2 that are shaded. So that makes that 2/10. Oh, this is an interesting shape. I'm going to count this by 2's again. 2, 4, 6, 8. So there's 8 altogether. So I'm going to put 8 in the bottom. And all except 2 of them are shaded. Well, I can take 8 and subtract 2. And that's 6. So my fraction is 6/8. Of course, this is almost like the opposite of this one. It's fourths, and it's a unit fraction because only one of the parts is shaded. Another interesting shape. We have this shape right here because all the sides are the same. This is called the equilateral triangle. And it looks like it's been split into 4 equal parts. So I'm going to say 1, 2, 3 out of 4 are shaded. Now what's interesting is this is a completely different shape, but this is still 3/4. Here we have a triangle, and this is also 3/4. So it doesn't matter what shape you have. So this looks like eighths, and it looks like half of the eighths are shaded. So I'm going to say that one is 4/8. this one right here, you know what? I'm going to count just to make sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there's 8 altogether. And 3 of them are shaded. Doesn't have to be perfect, Miss East. There we go. 3 8s. I'm going to leave my dots on there because it's not asking me to shade anything. Oh, I love this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So there's 7 shaded parts and there's 7 altogether. So we would call that 7/7, but we could also call it 1 whole. You know, I was talking to a student the other day, and one of the things that I told them is this is almost the most important thing you're going to learn about fractions. That when you have the same number on top and the same number on the bottom, you've just made it into a whole number. That's really important. So you want to start getting to the point where you recognize that. Okay, Sarah cuts a melon into 5 equal slices. She gives 1 slice to her sister and 2 slices to her brother. What a sweetie. Isn't that nice she's sharing? That's great. What fraction of the melon did she give away? Well, it looks to me like we have that bottom number right there because it says that she had 5ths. And then what I have to think about is what did she give away? Well, she gave 1 slice to her sister and 2 slices to her brother. Her brother must have been really hungry. So 1 plus 2, that's not a hard addition problem. That's 3. So it looks like she gave away 3/5, or 3 out of the 5 slices altogether. Okay, so these 2 videos right here are the ones that were also on there for yesterday. So if you haven't seen them yet, you can when you download the PowerPoint. And we have one more thing to do. So the last part of our lesson for today is we're going to be doing GG, and you're going to spend 10 minutes working on math facts. You know, I was watching a seminar over the weekend, and it was talking about the fact that to learn math facts, you really need to practice every day. Even though we're only assigning it every other day, if you want to learn them and become automatic, remember we've talked about that, about 8 to 10 minutes a day, every day. But you have to know them by 3rd grade. So when you start 3rd grade, if you want something to be a little easy for you, like, oh, I don't know, math, take the time over the summer, memorize those math facts, because it'll make life so much easier when you get into 3rd grade. Okay, have a great math day. See you tomorrow.